The morning they bulldozed my great-grandfather's bridge, something inside me snapped. I wasn't just angry, I was finished. Done playing nice. Done replying to certified letters. Done trusting any system. That bridge wasn't just stone and mortar. It was my family's history. And when they ripped it down without warning, I decided to do the one thing no one expected: drain the lake their $4 million resort depended on. It started like any normal Tuesday. 6 in the morning, the lake still wrapped in fog. I was out on the dock, sipping coffee, listening to loons and the creak of old planks, when I heard the low rumble. Diesel engines, deep and unmistakable. Through the mist, I saw it, a yellow bulldozer crawling toward the bridge like a war machine. 2 more trucks behind it, men in vests, hard hats, radios. I ran. I shouted. Didn't matter. They had orders. They had paperwork. And standing in front of them, arms crossed, in bright white heels and a fake smile, was Barbara Langston, president of the Oak Ridge Shores HOA. "You can't do this," I yelled. Her voice stayed flat, cold. "We already did." Barbara wasn't from here. She moved in 2 years ago from Scottsdale, bought a lakefront mansion, and muscled her way to the top of the HOA board. The kind of person who reports kids selling lemonade, who uses community standards like weapons. But she didn't know the truth. No one did. That bridge wasn't just old. It was protected. My great-grandfather, Walter Dean, built it himself in 1924. Hand-cut limestone. A stone arch connecting our cabin to the main road before this whole subdivision ever existed. And locked away in my attic in a fireproof box were the original deeds, maps, and most important, a 1923 water rights agreement signed by the county. That document gave Walter and his heirs perpetual control over Lake Norwood's flow. See, the bridge stood above a secondary spillway. Walter designed the dam. He built the bypass channels. The HOA might think they controlled this lake, but legally, I controlled its water level. They just didn't know it yet. After they tore down the bridge, I spent 2 days seething. Then I did what any good engineer does when backed into a corner. I started reading, called my old professor from Texas A&M, an expert in historical water law, sent scans to my cousin's wife at the State Water Authority, hired a surveyor. Turns out that spillway hadn't been touched in 50 years, but it was still working, and it was mine. Meanwhile, Barbara came after me harder, fined me for having a fishing net on my dock, said my mailbox was the wrong color, claimed my shed was visibly weathered. She even sent private security, her brother-in-law's company, to patrol my land. Guys with mirrored sunglasses, snapping photos of my gutters. I documented everything, every notice, every visit. Filed complaints with the state about her unlicensed security force. Requested HOA financial records, public info by law, and what do you know? Strange payouts. $8,000 to Langston Consulting. $5,500 to Norwood Maintenance Solutions, a company owned by her nephew. Nepotism, fraud, it was all there. But I was patient, because the resort across the lake, the one Barbara bragged about constantly, ran on a $4 million commercial loan. I got my hands on their environmental impact report and found a golden clause. If the lake level dropped more than 18 inches below full for longer than 72 hours, the bank could call the entire loan due. Immediately. So I called a meeting. I showed up at the next HOA board session with a box full of proof. Water rights, deeds, photos of the spillway, payment records. "I'm not here to argue," I told them. "I'm here to offer a choice." Barbara laughed. "You're bluffing." "No," I said. "I'm draining the lake." She turned red. "That's terrorism." "No," I said calmly. "That's maintenance." The board voted. 1 abstained. The rest followed Barbara. She stood up, all drama. "Let it be known that Mr. Dean is a danger to this community." That night, I walked to the spillway, opened the access panel, and turned the valve 3 full times. Within 6 hours, the lake dropped 11 inches. By noon the next day, the resort's boat docks sat dry and useless. Tourists posted photos online, mud flats, dead fish, stranded kayaks. On the third day, the bank pulled out. Millions lost. Barbara called an emergency meeting. This time, it was chaos. Half the homeowners demanded she resign. The other half blamed me for environmental damage. Then the sheriff arrived, said someone tipped them off that I was tampering with public infrastructure. I handed him the paperwork. My great-grandfather built this system, I said. Legally, I operate it. He read it twice, shook his head. This is way above my pay grade. Barbara wasn't done. She ran to the local news, called me a dangerous extremist, claimed I was destroying property values. But the more she talked, the more people dug. Her husband's company, $30,000 in unapproved payments. Her cousin, no bid contracts. Her guest house, built illegally into a protected wetland. 2 weeks later, the county hit her with a restraining order. Misuse of funds, abuse of power, permit violations. The HOA board removed her. She packed up and left town the next day. The new HOA president, Mrs. Nora Caldwell, 82, who'd lived here since 1967, asked me to help write new bylaws, ones that protected history, respected the past. We rebuilt the bridge, named it Walters Crossing. The county even marked it a historic site. 3 months later, the resort reopened under new owners. They dealt directly with me. We made a deal. I'd maintain lake levels in exchange for conservation easements. We even set up a scholarship in Walter Dean's name for civil engineering students focused on sustainable water design. Funny how things turn out. Now every July, we celebrate Bridge Day. Live music, catfish fry, kids leaping from the dock, the very dock Barbara once fined me for. And sometimes I stand there, hand resting on the old limestone rail, listening to the steady water below. Because here's the truth. Water doesn't care about politics or power trips. It follows gravity. It follows design. And it remembers who built it. So if someone ever bulldozes your family's legacy, don't yell, don't beg, learn the system, know your rights. And when they push too far, let the water speak for you.